explain where she want go. For police person.
Ifugi onyonyo Ned Nwoko gosi n'iru akwụkwọ iji wee gosi ife akaebe etu Sammy West si abata bie wee na-akpali ya ma na-akpọlụ Rita Daniels na-apụ na-ekwu na onwere onye nwere ikike ịgwa Rita Daniels ife ọ ga-eme na be die Okotorigba ọ ga n'iru wee sị na kemgbe arọ abụọ gara aga na ego naanị mama Rita Daniels matabekwa ihe digoro n'aka ya bụ 125 million naira kpeshikom wee sị ọ ga-abụ na-enye ego na-edetu Okotorigba ifuge gị na ndị anụnwa gara oke akwụkwọ ndị ọkaiwu mekọ ihe uche gị dị o deturu edetu o gosiri ife akaebe n'ife onyonyo na-eji na nkịta ka ị na-enenechi ya ka mma agụpụtali gị ife niile ya bụ nwoke kwu ka nna akụkọ ọkari nke Sammy West na be Ned Nwoko.
I see they explain, give the policeman, say no, she's not going anywhere. Who is he?
I said that she's going. Like this.
Explain it to him. Who calls him?
You are trying, don't worry, sorry.
No, you are doing for your level. I know that's what you have to do for your level. But who calls him for she to explain where she want to go? For police person. What be that?
You are very good boy. Don't worry.
If you attempt that thing again, the display what I go display for you. And I go feel that.
Sammy, don't do now. You don't even know me today. Now what for you? You don't know why I see you. When you have food now, you know they fight it. You know they fight for my sister.
That. What kind of disrespect is that? That is an insult. You see, they look at it, they insult her. I mean, you don't know that Rita Daniels. You don't know who she is.
I got it. There's no good in a venue. Oh, I forgot me. Can't you see about? Mana man no bed Ned Nwoko ko gara ife anu ha amazi ihe na-ese mana ka nsi wee fu ọ dị ka ọbịara ịkpọrọ nwanne nwanyị bụ Rita Daniels ike kwasị ya apụ achọzi nka ngụpụtara gị ife Ned Nwoko kwuru na ọnya na-ese ịghọtago dịka o si wedepụta na obozi X. This video shows Sammy, Regina's brother, repeatedly coming to my home and harassing my children and domestic staff, especially whenever I was not around. His visits were often aggressive and disruptive. This is someone I sponsored through his last 2 years at the University of Iboma. I bought his musical instruments, rented and furnished a flat for him in Abuja. In addition to the house I bought for Regina in Asaba before our marriage for the use of all of them, I also provided allowances to all members of the family, including her mother, Rita Daniels. Indeed, in the last 2 years, I have a record of transferring 125 million naira to her mother alone. Okotorigba. When Regina started rehabilitation, there was a clear instruction by the doctors to strictly restricted people, especially her enablers, from having access to her. The therapy was arranged after I noticed troubling changes in her behavior linked to her dependence on certain illegal substances, including going for 48 hours without sleeping and eating every 2 hours. Unfortunately, Sammy, Destiny, some of their siblings, together with a few of their friends, notably Sonia Uche Montana, Onkane Mejije, among others, constantly defied those instructions. They would come into the house uninvited, sometimes forcing their way in, and would bring her the same DRUG she was being treated for. Instead of helping her recover, they encouraged her addiction and completely frustrated the efforts of the doctors and therapists working with her. It is important to note that Rollins, Sammy, and his girlfriend NK, Destiny, Sonia, and others took the same as Regina. In fact, Rollins and Sammy were the ones who first introduced and supplied this to her. They were deeply involved in the habit themselves, and rather than helping her get better, they kept drawing her back into the same destructive lifestyle. I do not drink alcohol nor smoke. In fact, I am a vegetarian. So I found these characters and behaviors reprehensible and totally unacceptable. Just a few weeks ago, I woke up around 4 a.m. and realized that Regina was in my room and on the phone. She was clearly high, and she knows that I do not want her in my room in that condition. I asked her to go to her room, and she told me that Sammy's girlfriend was in her room. I was alarmed and angry because that girl should never have been in my house, let alone around Regina, since she is one of the enablers who constantly bring her the substances she is addicted to. I told Regina that the girl had to leave, and one of my drivers dropped her off. 30 minutes later, Sammy came to my house, shouting and demanding that I come downstairs to face him. He said I had no right to ask his girlfriend to leave my house. He was ranting and threatening, waking up everyone, including the children. I eventually went downstairs and had to instruct the security to physically push him out of my compound. Level of the audacity was shocking. Without the influence of could he have been so bold and disrespectful? They had not stopped there. On several occasions, they verbally assaulted and intimidated the police officers stationed at the house for security. The officers were simply following instructions to restrict access for the sake of Regina's recovery, but Sammy and his group would insult and threaten them. Whenever Regina wanted to go out and I was not around, she would become extremely hostile towards the police and domestic staff. She would shout, threaten, and use abusive words, insisting that she must leave the house no matter what. There was at least 2 serious incidents where she left home in the evening and did not return until the next day. The first incident, she returned in the morning around 9 a.m. When I asked where she had been all night, she casually said she was at a nightclub. When I questioned why she would stay out all night, ignoring my calls and refusing to answer messages, her response was, "You are not my father." She didn't ask me where I was. So, don't ask me where I was, sorry. I found out that she was with Cassie, and that Cassie was staying in Regina's house in Life Camp. Cassie is the chemist and supplier of the group. I had to go to Life Camp at 6 p.m. to ask her to leave. With her around Regina, the therapy became a joke. On another occasion, on the kid's birthday to be precise, I returned home with the kids because Regina said she would stay with her Nollywood friends for dinner. She didn't return until 5 p.m. the next day. I took so much nonsense just for the sake of the kids. I also knew that the had a lot to do with it. As to her reasons for continue with she would always say, just like her mother, that it is a celebrity lifestyle. They will always mention 2 well-known pop stars. Imagine the pain of a husband trying to help his wife recover, only to have the process sabotaged by her siblings and friends, the very people who should have been supporting her healing. This pattern of behavior made it almost impossible for her to recover. Each time progress was made, they would undo it by smuggling in the same she was fighting to give up. The entire household lived in tension and fear because of their constant harassment, interference, and disregard for boundaries. It will be interesting to know her reason for the violent behavior in the house the day that Sammy and other siblings came and attacked my staff and security, taking Regina away after doing a video which they posted the next day. Why did they do that video? Why did they post it? They simply planned and acted a script all in my absence, regardless of the fact that my kids were there. They took away many things from my house, including one of my phones, money, and many other items. Everything that happened that day was in my house, in my absence. Nobody was beaten, and nobody could have contemplated that. It was blatantly false to say that I sent thugs to beat Regina in another house. The video that went viral was filmed entirely in front of my house by Regina's sister and her friend. It was a pure Nollywood scenario in front of my property, in my absence. Sammy should have a life of his own outside of Regina and pursue his career. When his brother Rollins went to London a couple of years ago to do his masters, I also offered the same opportunity to Sammy, but he declined and insisted that he wanted to stay in Nigeria and pursue his career in music. He has been arrested a few times by the police and the EFCC. He needs a total rehab, otherwise his violence behavior will continue. Una anugo n'ihe ngụpụta ihe anụwa bụ ife Ned Nwoko dị n'iru akwụkwọ. Ụfọdụ ndị mmadụ na-asị na-emegbu onye, ụfọdụ na-asị na ife abụ akụkọ Mike eje agha ọ na-akọ. Nke bụ eziokwu bụ na ma esoro fanụ anụ abụghọ m di ha nke nji abụ nwunye ha nya mgbe etike gbara maka na ihe gbasara di na nwunye, kama na site na nke mfu n'iru akwụkwọ otu ya bụ nwoke Sammy West si wee gaa na be Ned Nwoko wee je na-aba mba adịrọ mma maka ya bebe mmadụ na-aba mba ya kwukwo ọgọ gị na-aba ụdị mba na-asị na ịmago dịka okwu a ọ na-ekwu na-asị kelee onye ọ bụ who goes you nke nwa nke oke ka esi gwa ya nwanne gị nwaanyị apụ na ọ gị na-anụ nwanne gị nwaanyị ọhụ die nwoke nwere ikike isi nwunye agakwa n'ebe dị ụta ha akparịkọta ma o kwete ya ọzọ dịka ibia ọmamihe ụfọdụ na-asị na akọ Mike eje agha kebe eziokwu na m anụrụ mgbe o mee nya ma bịa sị gị na Ned Nwoko na-ekwu eziokwu ma ọ na Regina na-ekwu eziokwu ihe mma bụ na ihe ọkọ ka m bịa kọrọ gị nwezikwa ebumnobi gwa m gbasara m ozi aka ndị ọzọ na-anya gbasịkwa n'akara anụ daalụkwa.